Good morning, Savannah. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to each and every one of you this morning. We're here this morning talk about the vulnerable community. I am Jerome Irwin, president of the Philip Randolph Institute here in Savannah, Georgia. We have with us this morning none other than Miss Shirley James. And Miss James, introduce yourself this morning.
Good morning, Mr. Jerome Irwin, and thank you very much for allowing me to be a guest this morning. I am Shirley James, publisher of the Savannah Tribune, but also very active in the community through my church, St. Philip AME Church, where the Reverend C.J. Holloman is pastor, as a social action chairman there, and also serving as the liaison for our partnership with Black Voters Matter. So, in addition to some other things that I do in the community, those are the things right now that we are concentrating on. And I'm also the chairman emeritus of the Savannah Black Heritage Festival. So, I'll have some information to share with our listening audience and viewing audience about the festival that's upcoming next month in February.
We thank you for being here with us this morning. I thought she was going to have a hangover this morning from yesterday. I don't know about her, but I got jet lag. But we're here this morning. We're bringing very valuable information this morning to our people, and we're going to continue to do this every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. This morning we want to talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about yesterday first, Miss James. The parade yesterday was a great parade. I think that was one of a very large parade.
It was over 250 units. That was really, and it was quite a good positive statement about involvement from our community and the respect that they have for Dr. Martin Luther King and working with the Martin Luther King Observance Committee. So I was very proud of the parade, the participation in the parade.
Yeah, and we had all segments of the neighborhood. That was
Yes.
a great thing. We had all segments of the neighborhood. We had the Jewish community, everybody out there. I
Oh,
heard
yeah.
everybody was there.
Everybody was there. You're right about that. And so that says that in reference to what Dr. King was trying to promote throughout his life, but definitely throughout his leadership in the civil rights movement, was that we are all a people together. There are common kinds of values and things that we all have, and we really need to take more opportunity to do things together. And we have to talk and have more conversation with each other to understand where the commonalities are, and just try to learn how do you say, disagree with agreeing, and without violence and without hate. Um, I think when we talk individually, we can see how we share values and how we have common kinds of things that we're all interested in, for our families and our communities and all of that. But it looks like there's a lot of noise that some people adhere to, and I call it noise because it's verbiage that is used in the public, and for some reason people latch on to that rather than looking at who they are themselves and looking at their neighbors and looking at the people who are around them, that really, we're all in this life together. So I don't know, we have to be prayerful about that, but I think more opportunities we have like yesterday um, will be beneficial to us.
It's the thing that we have that uh, it's one thing to disagree, but it's another thing to just be downright disagreeable and hateful.
Right.
And the hateful part is what we have to get with. We can disagree, but we can also come to our common ground. And we can just find a way to get to that common ground. And like you say, a lot of time conversation is the best way to do it, and not letting our our mind get the best of us.
Right, right. But sometimes we'll listen to the noise that's being said. You know, I call it the propaganda, the noise, all of those things. And we let that take advantage of who we are without just stopping and using common sense and thinking for ourselves and just, you know, looking at the other person. The other person is a human being just like I am. And it doesn't matter, you know, the color of your skin, what your religion is, or, you know, any of that. It's just that look at that other person as an individual who's trying to live a life and accomplish things in life, take care of their families, take care of themselves, just like I am.
Hey, you know, we have come to the point where we let certain people dictate to us what should be and what shouldn't be. And when it comes down time to elections, which is coming up,
Right.
uh, but we need to know, we need to educate our people on who of the issues, not of who to vote for, but the issues
Right. Mm-hmm.
that are at hand. We have a great deal of issues that are coming up in this election, and there's some that's going to be very detrimental to the community. There's some going to be detrimental to the whole United States. But
Yes.
we have to educate the people on what it is that they need to be alerted to, and how it's going to affect them. Uh, on our end, the A. Philip Randolph Institute, we're going to institute a program called Barbercade. And we're going from barbershop to barbershop. And we're going to talk about the issues and see if we can't educate some of our people on the issues that are at hand and what can be done to change these issues. Because some of the people don't seem to understand that their vote can make a big change.
Mm-hmm.
They're, they're, they say, well, my vote ain't gonna count nowhere. My opinion don't make a difference. They're gonna do what they want to do, but they're so wrong with that opinion. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I agree with you on that. And I want to go back and reflect on this past Sunday at our church at St. Philip AME Church, where we actually had a program we presented that was, I would say, threefold. One was to educate persons on what we call Civics 101, on how government actually works. And I think a lot of times our constituents and our community don't understand how government works locally, you know, with at statewide and nationally. So what we did was we had a program that was broken down into two age groups. We had the 12 and under, and then we had those who were 13 and over into adults. And we actually had some of our elected officials who were able to come in and explain, introduce themselves, first of all, because sometimes, you know, we hear the names, but we don't see the people and we don't see that they're, you know, human just like we are. But they came in and they explained what they do, how they do it, and the purpose of their office in reference to representing the people that elected them. And then we also were able to just go through the basics of what we call civics. You know, when you look at the national government, you have the executive branch, you have the judicial branch, you have the legislative branch. A lot of times we don't get that information in our schools anymore. I remember when I was going to high school, you had 2 years that you had to study civics so you would understand how government works. And we don't do that much of that anymore. So I think if we get out, and I'm hoping that through our church that we will continue to offer what we call the Civics 101 sessions throughout the community. So that'll sort of piggyback on what you're doing, going from barbershop to barbershop. We can go into communities, into the community centers, and different organizations and just reach out, and just get this information out there so they can understand that, okay, this is how government works, but it won't work if we don't vote and if we don't get the persons in there who have the same kind of values, interests in doing what will help me as an individual, that will help my family. There are a lot of services that we have, um, from various economic levels. You know, you can start with Social Security, you can go to down to the peach care with the Medicaid and all of that. Things that are vulnerable and are subjecting themselves to being lost. And our people don't understand it. And so we have to make them just bring it home and say, well, this is an issue that will affect you personally. And you need to understand that if you don't get and you don't use your vote, because that's where the power is, to get the right persons in there, then these things are subjected to change. Even in our democracy, what we call democratic republic, there's a there's a great danger that we may lose the form of democracy that we have if we're not careful about who we put into office this coming election year, especially on the national level. So we need to really talk about it, um, talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. We need to make as much noise as the other noise that's being made. That's what I like to say.
I know you're right. We have several different elections coming up, and I understand it, and I want everyone out there to grab a pencil and paper because I'm grabbing a pencil and paper, uh, and be able to. Would you give us some of those dates, Miss?
Oh, sure. Okay, now first we have a presidential preferential primary that's coming up. And the primary is just to vote on the candidates who are vying for national president so
Right.
that we will understand who those candidates are that we will actually be voting for in November. So that primary comes up on March the 12th. March the 12th is the presidential preferential primary in the state of Georgia. Now, the registration deadline is coming up very soon. It's February 12th. So if you're not registered to vote, or if you have changed your name and address, and if you have checked your voting status, and let's say that you might have been purged or taken off of the voting list because you haven't voted in the last 3 or 4 elections, you have to register again by February 12th in order to be able to vote in the presidential preferential primary. Okay, that's going to take place on March the 12th. Then on May 21st, we will have what we call the general primary. These are for our local elections. So there are several people that are running. You'll start seeing, and if you were at the parade yesterday, you probably saw some of those persons who are candidates that are running locally, judgeships, commissioners, even our tax commissioner. But you probably saw several of them in the parade yesterday, even if you saw it, if you watched it on television. And that election is going to be on May 21st, 2024. May 21st. So, in order to vote in that one, that deadline, that voter registration deadline is April the 22nd. But I'd like to urge everybody to go ahead and do what you need to do in February. And then
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Uh-oh. You went into a freeze.
you'll have it out of the way and you keep all these elections and everything out. Then we'll have our general election in November, on November the 5th. Now, a lot of people get excited about the presidential election, but we got to vote locally and we have to vote for the presidential election, okay? And that's an important one as well. So, November 5th, and then the deadline for registration for that election is October the 7th. But as I said before, these dates that I gave for voter registration deadlines, especially Those are for persons who are going to be 17 and a half years old, our young people. So once you're 17 and a half, you are eligible to vote. So if you're going to be 17 and a half by February 12th, go ahead and register to vote. If you're not going to be 17 and a half until April the 22nd, we want you to register. If you're going to be 17 and a half by October the 7th, we want you to register. But those are opportunities, and especially for anybody who may have a name change during those periods of time or an address change. Please go ahead and do it. And I'll share this with you. Like yesterday, we had one of the voter registration tables set up at St. Philip AME Church. I know that the A. Philip Randolph had a voter registration area set up. And we did come across someone who had an address, needed to re-register because they had an address change. So pay attention to that. And a lot of times that's how you get purged, because you don't take care of making that change in address. And please do it so that you can make sure that you can vote in the right precinct and that you can vote.
Ms. James, when you were giving out the dates, we got the April primary, the May 21st primary.
Right.
And just before you went to the national, you went into a freeze for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Can you back that up for us right there?
Okay.
Make sure we got it all.
All right. So, okay. So let's start again. The March 12th presidential preferential primary, the deadline date to register to vote for that is February 12th, next month.
Right.
For the general primary, which will be held on May 21st, the deadline to register for that one is April 22nd.
Right.
And for our general election in November, which will be November the 5th, the deadline to register for that is October the 7th.
Right. Okay. All right. Let's take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with you. All right, we're right back here, right with us right now. You started talking just a minute ago about our young people that's at 17 and a half. Most of the majority of them are still in high school.
Mm-hmm.
And we're trying to implement different programs to reach out to these folks, to let them know that it's time for them to register to vote. So, can you tell us a little bit about what y'all doing on y'all end to get these young people registered?
Okay. I'm also a member of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. So the Savannah Alumni Chapter and our Social Action Committee, which I'm part of that, under the chairmanship of Dr. Patricia Harris, we do go into the high schools and specifically have a program that we work with high school seniors. And it's not only registering them to vote, but there's also sort of like a little curriculum that we share with them and get them all excited, about voting and registering. So that's something that we do, go into the schools, into the high schools, and meet specifically with seniors. Well, I would say juniors and seniors, but at any rate, the program is geared towards getting them to understand the importance of voting, to understand what government is, how it works, etc. So we even have a publication that we share with them that's called Turning the Pages. And it's been successful. And that's one of the things that we'll continue to do.
I've heard about the program that y'all have, the book that y'all put out. I
Yes.
have not seen it yet. I have
We'll
to
make
get
sure
on
you get a copy.
I have to get on my best friend, Miss Harris,
Okay.
and
Okay.
because I was supposed to see that booklet. But I've I've heard that it is a good tool to use,
Yes, it is.
and we're looking forward to seeing that tool and even help using it because we go into the school system also.
Right.
It's
And we do work with our college students as well, um, because it's important when you think about our college and university students, not only the ones who are local to Savannah, but a lot of them travel and come to us from other counties and from other states. And we need to help them understand, too, not only that they should be registered to vote, but how they will vote. Sometimes they can change their residence to the college campuses where they are. But if they don't, then we have to help them understand the absentee ballot process so that they can make sure that they contact their local elections offices where they came from their state, or even counties outside of Chatham County, if they choose to vote there. And if they don't have time to go, like I know some students can probably get to Liberty County or they can get to Effingham County on voting day. But if they don't have time to go, we want them to make sure that they can exercise that absentee ballot.
you know when you talk about our college students, and it's amazing that they move from place to place, moving to different colleges to get their education, get a higher education. But then, for some reason, it look like they're lost in the mix when it comes down to voting.
Mhm.
So we have to always keep uh, ourselves, I would say, how would you put it? How put educated, keep educating them
Right.
because there shouldn't be a reason why nobody that's eligible to vote should not vote
That's
because
true.
we get everything possible, every way possible for them to make sure that they're eligible and that hey, all you got to do is vote.
That's right. And there are a lot of advantages that they have in colleges, like, like a lot of the student loans and things of that nature. Sometimes they don't make that relationship between the laws that are passed, in Washington, D.C., in reference to certain benefits that they can have while they're in college. So it's like um, making that connection with them so they'll understand too. And a lot of times, our young people, they need to realize that this country is going to be their, what happens is going to be their responsibility. It's not ours, So, I mean, when I say it's not ours, we're doing what we can, our generations. We are a voting population because we understand the importance of it. But I think that it needs to resonate a little bit more, much more with them, that we're passing the baton. They're the ones that are going to be in charge. They need to be the ones that want to run for political office. They need to be the ones that will take on different responsibilities in their communities and all of that. So unless they understand the importance of voting and the connection between voting and what actually happens, whether it's environmental, social, whatever, that there's a responsibility they're going to have. And so we want to get that message across to them. And just, how do you say, my grandmother used to say, sometimes you have to beat it in the head, not physically beat, but just keep talking and talking and talking until it, it gets there.
Well, I put it another way. And I tell them, I said, if you're not at the table, if you don't have a seat at the table, then you on the menu. So you can either have a seat at the table, or you can be going to be
All
at
right.
the table. There are so many things that happens at the table,
Mm-hmm.
and our young people have to be prepared to sit at the table. They
Yes.
have to be nurtured so that they know that, hey, it's my time to take
Mm-hmm.
my seat.
Mm-hmm.
And when it's their time to take the seat, don't be afraid to step up and pull the chair back, step into that spot, and pull the chair up underneath you and sit down,
Right.
and be able to converse on what it is that you need, what it is that you want, and don't take a back seat to nobody.
That's true. Yeah.
Our great city, Savannah, Georgia, has great history, and we're very rich in history. We have an event coming up, and you have chaired that program for several years. You've been in the driver's seat, so we wanted you to tell us a little bit about what's coming up for Savannah, Georgia, under our Black heritage.
Okay. So I did. How do you say, I was in the driver's seat about 20 years, but I have learned too that you live, you learn, and you pass it on. So we have some young people now that are in the driver's seat, but of course I'm still there in the background and still advising and mentoring and doing those kinds of things. But we're talking about the Savannah Black Heritage Festival, and this is the 35th year of it. Think about that, 35 years, fulfilling a dream by the late Reverend, not Reverend, the late W.W. Law and Miss Deanie Frazier were the two that really, really thought that the Savannah community needed to understand and needed to learn and needed to appreciate our Black history and our Black heritage. And so they were the ones that were the brainstorm and the founders of the Savannah Black Heritage Festival. And they did at that time bring the city of Savannah on with it as a major partner and supporter. So we do have to thank the city of Savannah for being there all of these years, because this is a festival and a celebration that's free and open to the public. It's free and open to the public. And this year, the dates are basically all of February from the 1st on through the 25th. And the theme this year is legacy and innovation, framing the future of our culture. Legacy and innovation, framing the future of our culture. So, it will begin on the 1st. And the 1st is actually also a national holiday for us. It's the National Freedom Day observance, which will take place out at Savannah State University. That will actually be the 82nd observation of that particular event. And it's appropriate that it happens at Savannah State, where the first president at Savannah State was Richard R. Wright. And Richard R. Wright was actually the person who convinced the legislature and all of that to have this program because it does commemorate President Abraham Lincoln's signing the resolution for the 13th constitutional amendment, which outlawed slavery. So there's a personal connection when you think about Richard R. Wright being the first president at Savannah State University, but also he was the first, he was the person who instituted this National Freedom Day observance. So that's a wonderful way to start off with the Savannah Black Heritage Festival. And also on that day, we will lay wreaths at various memorials of significance in the African American community. So there's so many of them, in addition to our World War II memorial and our Vietnam memorials as well. But there are a couple of two or three things that I want to point out to our audience that are really going to be significant when you think about the times that we are in now. And one is going to be presented by the Association for the Study of African American History.
Before you get into that, Ms. James,
mm-hmm.
Before you get into that, let's do a quick break so that
okay.
when you do this, everybody can get full understanding.
I got you. Okay.
Let's go to a quick break if we can. All right, we're back. Now you were fixing to get into what I would say would be the nitty gritty
Yeah.
of the Black Heritage. So we didn't want to interrupt you, so we wanted you to get the whole thing in. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, again, it will begin on the 1st of February and through the 25th. But a few things that I wanted to emphasize. One, and especially when I say that we think about the times that we're in now, because, there are so many efforts out there to prevent the teaching of Black history in our schools and to ban the kinds of books that are written by our Black authors. And, books that we've been reading for years and years. But the Association for the Study of African American History is presenting a program on Tuesday, the 6th of February. It's called Who's Reading Banned Books and Why? And I think that that's something that would be of interest to all ages, but definitely, to parents and teachers, even, persons in our religious communities and all of that, because it looks like the responsibility now to make sure that we have these books available to our young people will be that we will need to have, maybe we need to have little libraries in our churches and things of that nature. But anyway, they're going to discuss and present to us those books that have been banned and just kind of discuss the importance of our continuing to have those available to our community. And I think that's something that we need to participate with. Of course, the dedication of the Susie King Taylor Center, that square is also part of the schedule. That's going to take place on Saturday, the 10th of February. And we still have that annual jazz concert, which features our young jazz artists. And Teddy Adams, always puts together a wonderful group of young people, and they come from throughout the Southeast. And that's going to be at the Jewish Education Alliance Center on February the 13th. And everybody looks forward to Grand Festival Day, which is going to be on the Saturday the 17th. And it'll be at the Civic Center. And so we look forward to everybody and all the families, coming out on that day. And there'll be things from health talks. There'll be opportunities for persons who can still deal with their Medicaid redetermination, because that's something that's important that we need to talk about in the community as well, Mr. Jerome, because in May of this year is the deadline. And a lot of our constituents and citizens who have received Medicaid or Peach Care for their children, they may not understand, and that they do have to maybe reapply, and they still have to check to make sure that they're on the roll, to receive those healthcare services. So there will be somebody there on February the 17th to assist with that, if anybody needs that assistance. And of course, it'll close out with a live concert that evening. And then this is something that the the Savannah African Art Museum is presenting along with the Smithsonian Institute, which I think is important. And on Monday, the 19th of February, it's called Hometown Treasures Expo. And what they're doing is helping us to understand that we need to preserve certain artifacts and things that are in our homes that we may think are not important, but they're part of our history. So they're going to sort of walk you through how to find these things and how to find these documents. And these, sometimes it's just a little piece of paper that's written by your grandmother. And you looked at it and you said, oh, this is not important. But yes, it is. It's a part of your legacy. It's a part of your history. And I think that we need to put more emphasis on our preserving our legacies and our family histories. And so this is an opportunity for that, to happen. And we hope that people will be there. And then one of the lecturers that we have this year is the granddaughter of Henrietta Lacks. And I don't know if you all remember her story. She was the person whose cells were used without her knowledge. And it's a medical procedure that is still used today to assist with curing diseases and things like cancer. And it's the way that they did it with her, without her knowledge. And a lot of things that happened to us in our communities were done without our knowledge, but then they benefited the general public. And we were not given credit for it. We were not given restitution for it. So her grandson is going to be here. And we hope that you would take the opportunity to come to that presentation. It'll be at St. Philip A&E Church on the Boulevard at 6 p.m. And the date for that is on the 19th of February. And then there are other things that are happening in between, but like, for instance, Carver Bank is going to do a presentation on banking with a mission on the 23rd of February, and also celebrate their 97th anniversary. And we have a local bank, one of only 22 Black-owned banks in the nation, in the whole nation, that has been in business here for 97 years and never closed its doors. So we hope that you'll celebrate with them at the Skidaway branch that afternoon at 5:30. And then we close out on Sunday with gospel. on the 25th, and with an appropriate way to make sure that, as our people always do, that we give honor and glory to our Creator and our Lord and our God, who created all of life, so who we are thankful for. So we'll close out with gospel. But those are just a few of the things that we have to present this year. And the schedules will be out soon. And so, as I said before, I'm sort of like emeritus with it, but I like to say that my motto is: you live, you learn, and you pass it on. So you do pass it on to the next generation, to the young people, because they're the ones who keep it going.
I tell you, it's great when we can pass on legacy
Yes.
and have it preserved, and not only preserved, but to also be celebrated.
Yes.
Because there's so many things that we have encountered in our life, and as we pass the torch on to those who come behind us, they have to understand some of the things that we went through
Right.
in order to appreciate where we at today.
Yes.
Our our foreparents went hell and high water to get us to where we are today,
Mhm.
and we're nowhere near where we need to be. We just tread the waters. So we need to somehow spark that, get that, find a way to spark that one spark that would ignite the
Mhm.
next generation to follow through and follow up and to move to a higher people.
Right.
You know, uh, we have this thing that when we were coming up, uh, we wanted to get out of our parents' house, but we weren't. Now that we've grown, we wish we'd stayed. Some of us wish we'd stayed in our parents' house. That well, we've been going, but we have blessed, good blessing, good blessing us to see us come thus far.
Mhm.
Come this far, we continue to go God long we have to continue to on His arm, but we also have to know when to listen to His word and tell us when it's time
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
and it's a great pleasure. Oh, and you know it all. But, uh, uh, we had we had the opportunity to pray last week. I didn't get fish, but I was looking at one of my eyes. I kept looking at the corner of my eye to see what whether she was going to eat that fish, but she
I'm,
did.
I'm getting a static from you, Mr. Jerome. So ask Mr. Julius if he can clear it up a little bit.
Okay, is that any better?
No,
Uh-oh. All right, how about now?
that's better. Yes,
Okay,
thank you. Okay.
all right. Yeah, I was saying that we had a chance to break bread together last week, and I kept an eye on you trying to eat that fish over there. I didn't know you could eat soul food like that.
Oh yeah, I grew up in Carolina. I'm a Gullah Geechee girl. I grew. I said I grew up on the water.
Yeah, we were at Kim's, and she was they were throwing down as usual.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of that, Mr. Jerome, one thing that we didn't cover was getting back to voting. We had that organization, Vote Riders, there,
Yeah.
And yeah, and that kind of goes back into a little bit of what we were talking about just now too, about legacy and preserving records and things of that nature, because there's so many of our constituents, especially our older citizens, who don't have the ID card, and even some of our young people who are off paper now, don't have that ID card. So you do need the ID card in order to register to vote. And Vote Riders has a service that, I mean, it's amazing that they will help you get that ID at no cost to you at all. They will help you research if you have any, the same little papers that we were talking about just now, that you might have in the attics and places and in different places in your houses. Um, but they will incur all of the expenses that are necessary for you in order to get that ID card. They will take you, provide transportation for you. If you need to go to the motor vehicle office in order to get the ID done, they will help you research. They will help you go to whatever office it is that you need to go to get a birth certificate if you need that. And those things are important, and I'm glad that that service is being offered. And there is a phone number that I'm going to share with you of the person who's local. That if you run across anybody in your family who needs that ID card, or you yourself need it, and she will get in touch with you immediately and assist you. And that number to call, her name I'm sorry, the number is 503-956-3646. Now she's the local person here who works with Vote Riders. Miss Deanne is her name, her first name. But let me say that number again. It's 503-956-3646. And I usually like to share with people that I was born at home, not in a hospital. And I'm in my 70s. So there are a lot of us in that age range. And had my grandmother not been the midwife assisting, I would not have a birth certificate. So there are people my age and older, and maybe younger, who don't have birth certificates because there was no one there to really make sure that your birth was recorded. So there are other ways to identify who you are, but Vote Riders, it's my understanding, will go to every extent possible to help you to get a voter ID. So let's make sure that we use their service. And if you want to go online to find them, they're at just voteriders.org, voteriders.org, and you can get information about them.
Even if they can't get, they don't remember the number, they can remember. They can see me at A. Philip Randolph Institute, or you at St. Philip
Yeah,
Institute.
I have. Yeah,
And
because they left information with us too, so you can contact us.
that's right. We have the information. So, like I said, it's no reason anymore for nobody to not be able to vote. So, providing all, I mean, we're making all areas
Mhm.
possible. We're tearing down the barriers. We're taking barriers down so that they can, everybody that has a chance to vote can vote.
Yeah, yeah. And our young people, who are off paper now, don't believe that rumor that you can't vote, because if you have completed all of the requirements, your probation and everything, you are eligible to vote. So
See us. We will get you registered. So,
yes, yes,
people of Randolph Institute, St. Philip Institute, we're here for you.
yes, we are.
We're working hand in hand along with Black Votes Matter. So, and vote riders. So we're getting we're getting we're getting every piece of information we can get to educate.
Right.
And with that being said, Ms. James, I'm gonna let you wrap up and close out.
Okay. Well, I just want to remind everybody to pay attention to what's going on this election year. Your vote is important. We have to make sure that we maintain this democratic republic that we have. And I hope that you will listen to the noise, listen to the words that are being said. There's a difference between having a democratic republic where you can still have your rights and privileges and a government that's basically an autocracy where you've got one person or just a few person that are in charge who can take away and strip away a lot of your privileges. And some of that is already happening. And we don't want to lose any more than we've already lost. So please vote, and also take pride in your heritage, in our Black history. Learn as much as you can. Take advantage of those opportunities where you can learn about who you are, because we are important, and we come from a legacy of kings and queens. We really do. We really do. So do those two things. Participate in the Savannah Black Heritage Festival, and read those books. They may be banned, but you can still read them.
All right, all right, all right. Want y'all to remember one, we've got a date to put out there for you, and we'll bring it up again next week, February the 10th. February the 10th, April Randolph will be having a breakfast break at ILA Longshoreman Hall, 221 North Lathrop Avenue. And we will be serving breakfast. It'll be our fundraiser for the year. So everybody get prepared. We're going to serve breakfast that morning, and you're going to have some real good food. So be looking forward to seeing everyone. Ms. James, it's been a pleasure to have you with us this day, and I will be looking forward to talk to you very soon.
All right.
Savannah, Georgia, asks you to see us every Tuesday morning on the Vulnerable Community. We will be right here and bringing you more valuable information. So good morning to you, good evening to you, and we'll see you again next week. Goodbye, everybody.
like that.